Welcome to Expats Everywhere. Can you tell us your name, where you're from, and a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Casey Riley. I'm originally from Pennsylvania. I taught music in Northeast Pennsylvania for 17 years and decided to make the switch to international education. I looked at a program called Teach Away, and one of the music opportunities they had was here in Doha, Qatar.
And is Doha the first place you've lived abroad?
Yes, I absolutely love it here. It is almost always above 80-degree weather. The humidity can vary between super hot Florida, South Texas, or dry heat like Las Vegas. I go to the beach 3 or 4 days a week after work. The people here are very friendly. There's a large international population of workers here. The country itself is about 80 to 90% expat working force from all over the globe. So the diverse population is pretty cool. But yeah, it's definitely a very fun place to live.
Great. So you're in education, but what other jobs do you know are available to expats?
If you have a career, there is an opportunity here for you to work. So there's also a large banking and IT sector. Right now, there's construction, architectural engineering with the preparations for the World Cup in 2022. We're building a metro, subway, mass transit system. So there's opportunities with that. I have friends who are limousine drivers, taxi drivers. I have friends who work in restaurants. Friends who work in banking, IT, other teacher careers, nurses, and then Hamad Hospital does a lot of innovative state-of-the-art research, and there's always an opening medical professional there as well.
Great. Okay, so let's talk about your job. You're in education. So what does a typical day look like for you?
Well, I teach early years music, which is the equivalent of American nursery, American pre-K, kindergarten, and first grade. I arrive at school sometime between 6:30 and 7 with parent emails, typical teacher paperwork that happens. I teach anywhere between 6 and 7 classes a day that are 40 minutes. And then our official school ending day is at 4 p.m. Sometimes I stay till 4:30 or 5 o'clock to finish a task. I personally don't believe in taking work home unless it's a large task like curriculum writing, grading, research, reading research. I don't take that stuff home. So lesson planning, Google Slides, presentations, I do all of that here. So I arrive somewhere between 6:30 in the morning and I leave anywhere between 4 and 4:30 in the afternoon. We teach Sundays to Thursdays here in the country. So our weekend days are Friday and Saturday.
And how much can someone expect to earn in education there?
Well, I know at our school, the salary benefits packages can be anywhere in the teens of thousands of reals, anywhere between 11 and 16 or 17,000 reals. But it does vary from school to school. It does vary from program to program, what you're looking for. One Qatari rial is equivalent to about 26 or 27 US cents. And as far as saving money, I like to tell people that your Qatar experience can be anything you want it to be. You can do expensive, extravagant dinners, cocktail parties, clubs, nights out 7 days a week. Or you can live a very modest life at home, save a little bit of money. I would estimate with an employer package, an employer work visa package, you might be able to save anywhere between half of that and 3/4 of that every month. It all depends on what you want to do.
Okay, so the jobs that you named before, let's just say a nurse, do you have any idea around how much that profession would make?
No, I don't really like talking about money. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
I did not, well, that's okay. I know that I have a friend who works for an IT company that's associated with the government here, and she makes a significant amount more than I do. And I do know two marketing sales professionals who also make a lot more than I do. But I'm finding out as I do a little bit more career research, either looking to stay at my school, transferring to another school, if I may be making less at another school. I may be making a lot more at another school. So I am currently making the exact same dollar amount I was making after teaching for 17 years in the U.S. So I think it's probably industry standard on salary benefits packages.
Okay, so it sounds like there's quite a range, so everyone just needs to do their research before they go.
Yes, yes. And I know that if you don't ask for it in your contract, you won't get it. So I know from some of the teachers I work with, their contract packages are slightly different because in their interviews, they said, I would also like to have, would you consider adding to my benefits package? May I switch from option A to a different option? And those things were granted. So everybody's contract here seems to be different. And this is my second year teaching here, and I know this year's new teachers, their contract is different than ours in a few ways. So I think it's if you want it, ask for it.
Great advice.
Kind of a country. Yeah.
Okay, what kinds of things should people be asking for?
Well, you want to look at housing, definitely. What type of housing? Is it villa accommodation, which would be a condo shared housing facility? Is it unfurnished rooms? Are they furnished rooms, semi-furnished rooms? Is it a hotel residence? I have a friend who is another marketing person, and she lives in the Wyndham in downtown in city center. So she lives in a hotel suite. So it's like an extended stay hotel suite with a small kitchen area. So what's the housing package? Do I have an employer provided housing, or are you giving me a stipend to find my own? Am I living with other people that I work with, or is it basically an open building where anybody's living here? Is it 24-hour security, concierge services? What's my access in terms of housing to a pool, a gym type of area? Because all those housing locations can be different here. You might want to consider what their transportation allowance may be. Do they provide housing that's close enough to your office, place of employment where you can walk? Or will there be, say 500 rials a month for Uber, taxi? The other service here is called Carwa. What options do you have for transportation? You also might want to ask for if there's a probationary period. My contract had a 6-month probation period before I was eligible for any like leave absence. We had school holidays, but if I needed to take sick time, there was a probationary period with that. So I guess, medical coverage as well. What kind of medical coverage is offered? Is it a private? Is it something called the Hamad card, which you can apply for? But they say everyone qualifies. But as I asked those questions, I heard that some people didn't qualify for Hamad card for medical insurance for some reason, passport-wise, citizenship issues. I wasn't exactly sure. So those things, and then is there a food stipend? You have a daily allowance for food? Because I know some people who work for the petroleum companies, they don't have a housing necessarily, but they do have a daily stipend. So those might be some good questions to ask.
Okay, so let's say that someone has a job and they're getting ready to move to Doha. How much money should they bring with them to get started?
This depends on what type of housing is being provided by your employer. I moved into a hotel apartment, basically Airbnb suite. I have a living room, a full kitchen with all appliances, and a bedroom that my employer provided basic kitchen essentials, basic linens. I only really needed to buy extras. So like I bought a flower pot, I bought a soup pot, I bought a ladle. So your Qatar experience can be whatever you want it to be. That's what I always tell people. We have an IKEA, and they're the exact same prices as IKEA in the US. So I brought with me $1,000 US, and I don't think I spent anywhere near that in buying a second set of sheets, a second set of towels, and some things for the kitchen. I don't think I spent anywhere near that.
So speaking about what you brought over, how should someone pack, things like that? And then also, what's the weather like?
Well, what to pack? I brought 5 suitcases, but I had a relocation allowance from my employer. So I covered the cost of basically bringing anything I wanted to bring with me. Most of it was teaching equipment because I wasn't sure what type of music supplies they had here at the school. So you might want to pack pictures from home, your favorite mug, um, a couple of trinkets, some bath and beauty products to get you started, and kind of whatever you feel like. I think if you were going to plan to live in southern Florida, South Texas, San Diego, Las Vegas, that type of weather, what would you need clothing wise, equipment wise? With beach sports, you might want to bring water sport equipment, water shoes, lots of flip flops. My flip flops have not melted in the heat. And the hottest temperature we felt was just before we left in June. It was 124 degrees Fahrenheit here. That was the real field temperature. So it was a little on the warm side. But I know people who've brought with them surfboards. They've brought with them water skis. They've brought bicycles. They've brought scooters. There's a very active fitness community here. I know I had 2 suitcases full of clothing that was mostly beach attire and professional wear, business casual professional wear.
Do you feel like there are any dress restrictions, male or female, that anyone should be aware of?
I have come to realize that the local custom and the local culture here, if you abide by some of those traditional dress policies, you're treated with a little more respect. I wear below the knee skirts. And I will wear longer sleeve tops, tank tops. I tend not to wear except in my own apartment or at the hotel beaches. My place of employment is professional dress, so whatever you'd wear in a boardroom, whatever you'd wear to an important business meeting would probably be the case. People don't go to the grocery store in yoga pants and sweatpants and tank tops and frumpy clothes. People don't tend to dress like that here. It's a little more, a little more smart, casual clothing at the malls, at the movie theaters. Fitness attire at a place called Aspire Park. The fitness attire is permitted there, so I've seen athletic shorts and tank tops and t-shirts, but then I've seen women especially put on a hoodie or a sweatshirt or a jacket, above jacket, before they get into an Uber to go back to their place. As a woman, I choose to keep one thing uncovered if I choose to do it. So I'll wear a sleeveless dress with that's to the floor length, or I'll wear a slightly above the knee skirt with a long sleeve top. I usually pick one or the other one. But that's going to the mall, going to the grocery store, coming to work. But there's a very large club and night scene and party culture here. If you think of Las Vegas minus some of the crazy of Las Vegas with some of the crazy of Las Vegas. So I've been in nightclubs and some party outlets where these women are in super tight, super short, super barely there sequin dresses. I've seen men in all white suits with these crazy Hawaiian shirts underneath. So there's definitely this culture of party and a little bit off the clock.
Is there anything that you recommend people bring that they can't find at stores there?
So I asked nearly everyone I know this question, and some particular spices and seasonings. Frank's Red Hot exists here in the country, so for me, I'm all set. I don't need anything else. But some particular salad dressings, some particular taco seasoning spice sets. There are some Western grocery stores. There's a place called Mega Mart. There's a place called Spar. Those tend to have Western brand foods. I shop at more of the local mom and pop grocery places, and I chose when I left the U.S. to find the Arabic or global equivalent to whatever product I was using. I have found toothpaste here that's the same Crest toothpaste I use in the U.S. My deodorant's the same. Laundry detergent is all the same. We couldn't figure out, other than spices and seasonings and some packaged soup products. But there's an equivalent here that does just fine.
Great. So, a question I think that a lot of people have is how safe is it and do you feel safe?
I feel very safe here. I feel protected. I feel respected, maybe as a Westerner or maybe as a Western woman. I feel that if there's an issue, I'm catered to. I'm spoken to quite well and respectfully. My limousine or Uber drivers are always very respectful. The waiters and waitresses here are very respectful of the culture. There was a crazy incident at a party I was at, and I watched the hotel security handle it in less than a minute, and everything went back to normal as if it didn't happen. I've walked home from city center at night. That's maybe 5 kilometers, and I feel very safe. Closed circuit television is a big thing here. I don't feel it prohibitive. I know that there are some people who find that it can be a little intrusive. But I feel like if anything were to happen, somebody somewhere would know where I was. Somebody somewhere would know what exactly happened to me. I have had friends who've left purses or lost purses or left behind car keys or left behind jackets and things, and they're quickly returned. They go back to the place where they've been lost and they were there. And I think all of the expats seem to look out for each other as well. There's a very large percentage of us in the country, and I think we have each other's back quite a bit. But I do feel safe here. Normal travel, safety, security precautions always apply, I think, no matter what city you live in. But there are security guards nearly everywhere. And you can sit in the park at 3 in the morning. You can sit in the park and not feel like you have to worry about walking home. I tend not to go out alone, but that's just who I am. But I have gone out by myself. That night I walked home from city center. It was 5 kilometers. I was by myself. But I feel safer here than I think I've felt anywhere else in the world.
You've spoken a little bit about this, but what kinds of things do you do for fun and how can you meet people?
Well, I have met people through various expat groups, book clubs, dinner clubs, meetup groups, travel societies, travel message boards. I've met people just at a coffee shop at the beach. My neighbors tell me that I'm extremely social and I will talk to anybody. And I will talk to anybody. So I think if you look for people with similar interests, there's sailing clubs and dragon boat racing teams. There's yoga clubs here, yoga studios here. There's cooking classes offered at the hotels with the celebrity chefs, the executive chefs there. There's coffee place meetups, and I think if you're just willing to be open-minded about putting yourself out there and getting out, you'll run into people in the same paths. I see the same 5 people at the grocery store when I go there on Saturday afternoon. I'm a practicing Catholic, and there's a church community here as well. There's a religious complex, and I feel that I feel free to practice my own religion here without any concerns or hindrances or questions. So I've met people through my church group. I've met friends of friends here at work. There's a rugby club as well, so they offer social events. I think anywhere you find somebody in the US or anywhere else, I think is the way you'd find them here too.
Okay, so let's shift a little bit. What is the visa process like for Doha or Qatar?
My employer took care of the entire visa process, but I know I needed to do a fingerprint clearance for that, and I needed to was another set of clearances I had to fill out, and I needed to submit copies of my passport for that. Qatar has just started a visa-free entry process for approximately 80 countries. I do recommend checking on a website. There was one that I found was onlineqatar.com that talked a little bit more about the visa process for that. Everyone that I know here has their employer has taken care of the visa process, from a taxi driver to the grocery store clerk to the coffee shop person to a business executive. Their employer's taking care of that. For travel, I know that the U.S. citizens used to need to apply for a visa, but I believe now it's visa upon arrival.
Great. And so you mentioned this a little earlier about hospitals and medical, but what's the healthcare like there? And would you feel comfortable getting a procedure done?
I would feel comfortable having my appendix out here. Not that I want that to happen, but I would feel comfortable with that. One of the really neat things I think about here is the variety of nationalities that exist. So there's a Canadian hospital, there's an American hospital, there's a Turkish hospital, there's a Middle Eastern Gulf region hospital. I have an employer-sponsored healthcare plan, and it becomes very affordable for me to just go to the doctor. Last year, with all the swimming that I did, I wound up with ear, nose, and throat infections all the time. I always had an ear infection. And I was able to see an ear, nose, and throat specialist in about 15 minutes. I showed up. They're called hospitals here, but they're mostly like those minute clinics. Some of them are attached to larger hospital facilities. But I showed up at the minute clinic, the American hospital, and in 15 minutes I was with an ear, nose, and throat specialist. And another 15 minutes I had medication from the pharmacy, and 15 minutes from there I was home. So in a span of 45 minutes, I saw the doctor, got what I needed. I only spent about 25 reals total for the doctor visit and the medication. And then I was on the way there. There is something called the Hamad card. Hamad Hospital is one of the largest medical facilities. I forget exactly in which category, but they're always doing innovative research. They have state-of-the-art medical facilities. There's another place called Sidra Hospital, which does a lot of work with children and children's healthcare. So there's that. But the one thing I found that was really neat is that the government here, the country believes that no matter who you are, whatever your nationality or citizenship is, you have the right to access appropriate and free public health care. So you can apply for that Hamad card. I've read that it's anywhere between 100 or 200 reals. And then you can go to Hamad Hospital where everything is covered, everything is taken care of for you. I had a friend who was in a pretty serious car accident last year, and he was taken care of. Wasn't an issue. There was no medical bill after that. So it was interesting. But I would feel comfortable having my appendix out here. Yes, I would.
All right. And Doha, how do you feel about Doha as a travel hub? Is it good? Why or why not?
Yes. I love it here. We were reading something about if you have a 36-hour layover, you can schedule through the airport a special tour. So you can go and do some of the big Doha sightseeing things, Souk Waqif, one of the museums, some of the city center items, as part of your layover process. And there's an organization at the airport that can help you arrange some of that tour. The Souk Waqif, Souk Wakra, they are amazing places that will remind you of stepping inside the Aladdin movie and watching Aladdin and Abu running around the souk. Hotels here offer daily beach passes. So even if you're staying at a different hotel, you can opt for a beach pass at another one. There's a place called Qatar, the cultural village, that offers nighttime shows and theater experiences. Education City has a library to visit. If you're into sports culture, some of the stadiums are coming to completion. The country just hosted an international athletics final. Next week, there's a beach sports games that are happening as well. Last year, there was a gymnastics championship here. You could fill a 7-day holiday here very easily with the amount of things to do.
So finally, what are some pros and cons about living in Doha?
Well, I think for me and my lifestyle, the biggest con is access to salami, pork products. There is one store in the entire country that sells both alcohol and pork products, and you need to have a license card in order to go in and buy it. And the way to obtain that license card is with a letter from your employer. I'm okay without bacon. I know some people are not, but I'm okay without it, so I don't tend to worry so much about that. The other con I could think of is that it is ridiculously dusty here. And with the humidity, this year, it's just been terrible. You're inside all the time, so you're constantly in air conditioning. So that may bother some people respiratory-wise to be in AC all the time. The pros I have found to be being able to go to the beach every day after work, if I so choose, or spending the weekend at the beach, if I so choose. That is definitely something that I need personally for my soul, for my lifestyle. But being able to be outside at the beach to go swimming, taking a dhow boat trip, or a fishing trip, or a sailing trip, kayaking, paddleboarding, that's really important to me. And the other thing I really think is a pro is that the local culture here is just as interested about us as we are about them. I think finding out that life is not exactly what the news media always tells us it is. People are not exactly who are presented in the local media as well. So being able to debunk some of those things and say, no, it's really not like that here. No, I don't have to walk around in an abaya. No, I don't have to do this. Yes, I can drink alcohol here. Yes, I can have a cigarette here. Yes, I can do those things. So being able to debunk some of those things I've seen on the Western media has been fun. And the only other, I mean, I could think of 1,000 pros, but the other one that I think is really important is the people that I've met here. I've met people from nearly every continent. I've looked through my phone the other day, and I think I had 130 new contacts, and most of them are from a different country, a different place, that I've met through all sorts of different social activities and clubs that I'm involved in. So people are interested to know about Westerners, and I think Westerners should be interested to know about people from this region of the world too.
Awesome. Thanks so much for telling us today about Doha.
Thanks.